This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released April 22nd, 2018. Episode 389. Sipping Coulombs.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's happening, nerd?
Hey, nerd. I have a new project that I was going to talk about. Maybe not too much, but a little bit.
Well, why not? We don't have anything else to talk about, really.
It's a slow week, I gotta say. 2 weeks, I suppose. But yeah, there's always stuff happening. But I was actually looking, as I told you before the show, I was even looking at like EE Times and like the old
dinosaur media.
Yeah, the well's dried up. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe like the chip stuff isn't coming out as fast. Or I was looking through. Oh man, should I give our sources too? Oh geez.
And did we get this on our previous survey? Like, what sites do people get their news from?
We asked about podcasts. We didn't ask about sites. That's probably a good question to ask about.
It's not bad. Yeah. Like, does anyone actually?
Does anyone know what's going on here? Right.
Things anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I mostly use Twitter, but it just slides by, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't really actively target news websites. I'm not that interested, If it's huge news, it'll eventually show up on my Twitter. Someone will copy me in,
Right.
I do appreciate that. My Twitter followers who, simply retweet and copy me in and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's the way I see things. So
Right. So Dave can be controlled, folks. That's what we're hearing.
Right.
Here.
I can be manipulated into my next video by
Yes, I don't really know. I mean, I use a lot of stuff. I use Woodstock Wire. That's the secret one. So that's an email. It's just a feed. So if you don't want to sort through it, but yeah. And then, I go on Hacker News and Reddit and a bunch of the sites. But like you said, we don't really go to the sites anymore. Like, I'm surprised people still go to eevblog.com, but apparently they do. So
they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Weird. I guess they go to the Amp Hour too. We know that.
We know ads on there,
Yeah. So I guess there's some value in that stuff.
Oh, dude, what I discovered last night, and I'm trying out at the moment. Have you heard of Integromat?
No.
Integromat.com. I'll send you a link. Here we go. You, of course, know and use If This Then That, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Well, this is like If This Then That on steroids.
Okay. And
it's like a visually, like it's like a flowcharty kind of thing where you like drag and drop all these different services. If you receive an email, then you can not only filter that email and do a text parser on it, then you can route that out to Facebook and Dropbox and WordPress and YouTube, and you can and the amount of services it supports is ridiculous, and it's free.
It looks very.
They've got a free.
Yeah, they get a free tier, and then they want
a free tier, and then they have a thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like Zapier as well. It seems like business intelligent type stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like, but you go in there and you look at the support of all the different apps and services that they support. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and it's great to be able to automate.
Actually. Yeah,
even a dummy like me could potentially, automate with no software experience,
Yeah, that's really nice. Actually, so I've talked to someone before for work, and he, it was basically like, the person was asking about like an API thing, right? And so these are all basically these services, right? If This and That, Integromat, Zapier, everyone, they're all talking to APIs, and they're kind of like nice GUIs on top of them. And a lot of the times, like the standard thing is like, oh well, use Python to just access this API, and I'm like, no, I don't feel good with that. Or to be honest, too, like the API changes underneath, and you have to kind of keep up on it. So that's a more practical
that's right.
thing.
There's someone,
Right.
Well, that's the thing that when we were, I've got my own online shipping business, right?
Oh, sure.
And a big part of that is the huge part of that is the shopping cart integration and the shipping automation and all that sort of stuff. And David said, "Oh, I can write that. I've kind of written my own one of that before, and let me do it. And I'm going, dude, no, right? Because it's always changing. You'll be forever dicking around with it. You're better off just buying a service from the company whose sole job is to maintain, like Australia Post and DHL integration and all that sort of stuff and make it all work.
Yep.
I
agree.
It's their
I think
job
that's true
to
too.
keep up
I mean,
to
like
date.
of a lot of things, right? I mean, that's why. I mean, like you build a piece of hardware, you're gonna have to maintain it over time too, right? And not just the hardware sales and stuff, but also like all of the components that go into it too. So yeah, that maintenance piece. You never really think of it up front, but
no, but it's No, I did. I'm way past the point of doing stuff myself. Like I used to service my own car, right? And it's like no,
right.
Right.
So not only can Dave be focused on social media, folks, you can also sell him your SaaS services. Dave is Dave is a target. Nurture this lead.
Pay. Yes, I will pay money. In my ripe old age, I've learnt to actually spend money and
right. The difference between frugal and cheap.
Right. and stupid. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, your time poor.
Yep. No, it's just so much easier to do that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Speaking of things being maintained and going under, the chip board, it's gone under. The end. You remember chip? We covered this, years ago, maybe back in 2015 or something like that. And apparently they've sort of not announced it, but there's all the signs that they've gone into.
Right, their store is no longer operating. They're
right.
Right.
And apparently their office is for rent. Like people have like gone and researched them and like they're gone scared. It's like, well, you sell a $9 computer and you eventually go bankrupt. Like, sorry, but I'm not surprised. Right? Make it up in volume. How do you?
Right.
How do you make money on free software?
Make it up in volume.
Volume. Yeah.
Yep.
If you're in that business, I mean, that's just.
Yeah, well,
that's just what's going to happen.
It's interesting too because this is, I think this is the MediaTek chipset. Is that what they're using? MediaTek?
Oh, I can't remember the chipset they used.
They were using one of the really low cost.
Yeah, the low cost ones that are used in like the Orange Pi and stuff. Where you can buy a $5.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, and you talk about maintenance though. Like those chipsets churn a ton. Like I was just Olamex just announced a new board. I'll link in as well. I didn't actually post it, but Olamex is like a open hardware maker, and they just announced a new like Raspberry Pi-esque single board computer. Blah blah blah. But like. I was like looking at this thing. I'm like, oh my god, they've got like eras of different hardware based on these different MediaTek chipsets, right? Because they're just churning so fast. This is like powering all of the low cost tablets that are out there. You go on Amazon, you rip one of those things apart, and they're capable. Like they are capable chips. It's surprising how much stuff they put in there. You can't
buy them anymore. It's been on the market for 2 years, and the chip's gone.
Oh yeah, you can't buy the old ones, but no. I'm just saying like the fact that they keep churning the new ones out. I mean, like that's powering a lot of the consumer electronics out there. So that's the idea is that the MediaTek, or sorry, the Nexthinco and this chip was using that same thing. They were trying to basically kind of put a skin around these chipsets that are low cost, but somewhat capable. And there's just a ton of maintenance there. And if you're not selling for a decent margin, then it could be tough. So. Kudos to them for trying.
Anyone who's thinking about going into that business, I've got my single board computer is going to be, my Arduino clone is going to be better than everyone else's. No, just don't go into that business. I'm sorry.
It's a tough one for sure.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, well, we're in the hardware business, right? I think I told you about that board I bought off AliExpress. It had like an ESP32. It had a LoRa chipset.
It had a
screen.
Everything else.
It had power. It had a battery charger and everything else. And it's $15. And it's like, what the hell are we doing here, man? It's my standard response. Like I mean, like we are really benefiting. We're in the thick of the But like if you think you're just making money off hardware, that's where you're going to get into trouble unless it's something super unique. And I don't really think that exists. I don't know about you.
Well, I don't know. I make decent margins on my microcurrent, for example. No one's bothered to come up and make their own version of it.
That
and
is surprising.
Sell out
I mean,
every
I'm
time,
sure that there's
you know?
are there not clones? Are there no clones? Someone's
There
clone
are
that.
there
Come
are
on.
clones. Well, no, there are clones. You can get the board, but I shut down projects who are using my name
Got it.
on it.
Yep.
I don't. I won't tolerate people using my name. You can make
Of course, sure.
and you can make a microcurrent clone. Just don't call it the microcurrent and don't put the EV blog logo on it.
Sure. Yep.
Right, because it's open source hardware. That's fine, but don't use my trademark name.
Right,
You
and
know?
so that's the something extra that you're selling, right? You're selling I think a pretty niche product too. It's not like
Oh, yeah,
generic,
no, it's
not like
totally niche,
Linux
you know,
thing,
but-
right? But it's
Yeah.
also I always kind of balk at that when I see projects on like Hackaday or Hackster, specifically around contests and stuff where they have the price in the name. Really, I guess they do that for advertising too,
the
right?
$9,
The $9 microcontroller, the $35 development board.
Arduino,
Like,
yeah,
obviously, Raspberry Pi has succeeded way
Right.
beyond whatever we've said when that was announced and coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were wrong.
Well, I
That's
wonder
fine.
how they're doing financially, though.
I mean, they're nonprofit.
But
they're not.
They're a nonprofit, exactly.
and-
But they still have to take out wages, right?
Sure,
Somebody's
yeah,
got to
yeah,
pay
yeah.
for that.
but they're
Right.
nonprofit. But I think also, well, no, I don't think that's actually true. I was going to say Broadcom might donate, but I don't think that's actually true. But I don't know. I
They
mean,
probably get heavy discounts on the parts because they're Raspberry Pi, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Come on, if you couldn't
No, I'm just
negotiate
saying I'm not
that,
going
you wouldn't try.
I'm not going to guess because
Yep.
I've
Well,
been
I
wrong
will.
about that before. Okay. Yeah.
I'll
Dave,
hang them out
Dave
there.
the foil. But also the cost of hardware keeps dropping and they keep selling stuff and like they're and like again their brand is very good, right? I mean that's another thing
Right.
that they're
Yeah,
selling.
yeah, exactly.
And they have the educational piece and like we love them there. They're doing good stuff. It's just like
Yep.
that's something extra. If they were if they were just the $35 computer, that would have probably stopped short. Or, I was thinking of that scene, what was it? It was something about Mary where Ben Stiller gets into the
right.
car and he's like, let me tell you about a new product. 8-minute abs? I came up with 6-minute abs.
6-minute abs, yeah.
Yeah, right. that's like what it comes down to though. Like, that's
Yeah,
that's
totally.
like the
That-
basis
that's
of
what it
like
is.
of
And-
like price battles, right?
Yeah, and I'm saying don't go into that business.
Right.
There,
It's
I
tough.
mean, there needs to be that business out there for people like us to take advantage of these,
Sure.
low cost products.
So
but,
we can slap a brand on top of it, right?
But yeah, don't do it unless
Right,
you live frugally in China or something like that.
I guess.
it's just,
yeah. I mean,
You're right.
I'm not. I don't know how to do it. I think that is an interesting point too, because we see this a lot at the chip maker level though too, right? I guess Allwinner, that was the other one I was thinking of. MediaTek, Allwinner, those are the chip makers. They're still making more chips. They make their money on chips, right? Obviously. But there's another one is Espressif as well, right? Obviously, they make the ESP
right.
8266 and then the 32. Similar kind of market of like targeting low cost hardware, spun it out to do more connected device type hardware
Are
stuff.
they the shovel suppliers of the new gold rush?
I think that's probably a better way to think about
Right.
it. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like we
Yeah,
haven't
better
heard
off
about
selling shovels,
Right. Well, and like they set the margin then too, right? Now they obviously have competition from the other low cost chip makers, but they seem to keep making new things, so that's great, right? And but I think at this point too, Espressif was not known before the 8266 was put on the market. They were known to local hardware makers, but they weren't known to broader
Right.
audiences. But they are obviously very known now, so that's great, right? It's that enables them to move forward and make the next chip, and people pay attention, and yada yada yada, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
You wouldn't know what I've been hit with. Seems like
shovel.
I'm being hit from all sides. A shovel. The shovel of production limits. I'm being slapped over the head with.
oh yeah,
It's just like on both my multimeters, both the my BM235 and also the microcurrent as well. So actually 3 of my products, like we just can't make enough of them.
is it
fast
because
enough.
of the sourcing issues or what?
I don't know. It's just
Like, do they not pass
it's-
that information back to you?
They don't pass the information back. No, it's like but these are companies that have got other products, right? I am not priority number 1.
Got
for
it.
them.
Okay, so
right?
you're sneaking in when the line's free and that kind of thing.
And well, they take the BM235 meter that I rebadged from Bryman, for example, right? I'm always running out of stock because I'm just too dumb to, have a tool that anticipates when I'm going to run out and then order more, because it's a 2-month lead time, right? So I always forget about it. I always go, oh yeah, I'll order more tomorrow, and then I forget about it. So
whatever. It's just business,
right?
My kids will eat some other time.
It's a 2-month lead time, right, to get this from when you order to when you manufacture, and they're very strict about that.
Of course.
And I'm going to run out, and for the third or fourth time, I'm now going to run out of stock again by the looks of it before they can deliver new ones. I've just ordered another batch, and I'm going, and they give me a date. Yeah, okay, it's going to be June 12th or something when the next batch comes through.
Yep.
And
grown, money on the table, buddy. Yep.
And I go back to them and say, look, hey, is there any volume that I can give you that will bump me up the priority list in terms of? And they basically go, no.
Nope.
It's 2-month lead time. Just plan better next time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what do you expect in there though? Like it's not like they're going out and they're doing wafer starts, right?
Wafer starts?
So so they need part ABC, right? From TI, right? That's going into your product. They're not going to buy it from DigiKey or Mauser.
No, but
they're going to Texas Instruments, and they're getting.
Yeah, but they're common across a lot of their products, right?
Right, but they've done forecasting that you don't get to cut into.
Yeah,
right?
That's
the idea. I mean, this is the whole idea of forecasting in the first place. It sucks, but it's based on wafer starts, and
they're obviously running some just-in-time thing. They're obviously keeping
cash flow's a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just say, "Can I give you $100,000 to sit in your bank account?" Maybe then.
Then they will,
or let them take on your ordering for you, right?
Well, what I've got to do is simply put in a massive order now, and then but then when I run out in 6 months instead of 2 months,
what was the name of this service? Integramat. Have it when stock gets to 40, 40, or whatever
email
it is.
Me. Yeah. Automatically send.
No, email them. Don't email you. Email them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
I can definitely do that. Yeah,
you should.
It can read into WooCommerce and look at my stock.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's tons of things you could do, but take yourself out of the loop. It sounds like that's a I mean that is the downside of just in time, right? And all the what's that stuff like Toyota production method and all that stuff. The upside is money. I don't know what the laws are like in Korea, but like if you didn't do that and you just had a bunch of stock sitting around, you also have to pay, at least in the States, you have to pay taxes on your inventory. You have to tie up the cash flow. I mean, like this is just like businessy stuff, right?
Yep. And the same thing with the 121 GW as well. It's like, we can make maybe 1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, but when you've got a back order of 2,200, that goes, it's
man.
It's a pain.
Well, that's I mean, all told, it's a good problem to have, but
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Sucks for people that are waiting for meters,
Yeah, no, it's like every day I get half a dozen emails. When can I buy it? When's it going to be available? It's like
that's too bad.
And it's it sucks.
Well. I don't know what to tell you. I think that's on you, buddy.
It's totally on me.
Yeah.
Right? No, but I'm just saying, right? Those are to point out to other people who don't know. They can. Right. Those sort of problems can come up and bite you on the ass.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. So.
Yeah.
Boy.
You could offer to do the purchasing for them. That'd be something.
Right. No.
That would be terrible.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, they've got probably deals with like local distributors and stuff like that.
Of course they
anyways,
do. No, and they source them locally, and they've got their own, parts houses that they get stuff from. Yeah, this is always the thing. And they trust. And
I giggle at when I see like Kickstarters where they're like, "Oh, well, we're gonna deliver it in a month." It's like it's already in your warehouse. Then you're you're done. You already bought it. You're lying to me that you need money for production. You just need money, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm pissed off about the where's the link? Hang on, I'll send it to you if I've still got it. Still got it somewhere. Here it is. Bloody Indiegogo campaigns, right? This is a thing now, right? You know these. That probably doesn't surprise anyone, right? There's this Indiegogo campaign called V White. It's a mouth whitening toothbrushy automated. Stick it in your mouth and it, does magic, right?
Okay.
Anyway, some bullshit, all right?
Yeah.
And which is apparently, I think, already like an off-the-shelf product they're just buying from AliExpress or something. It's like, I think it's like a total scam or something.
Wow.
So,
this looks real dumb.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Anyway, there, if you scroll down, you will see my logo on there.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I've heard about
as featured, as featured in and featured on the Hydraulic Press channel, featured in Applied Science as well, right? Like, it's just all this bullshit. And it turns out that they just stole this image. If you do a Google reverse image search, they just stole this image from other projects, which then falsely put this shit on. So somebody created all this false shit to begin with, and then all these other Indiegogo campaigns just copy that featured in and just put it in there.
Dave, you've made it, man. You're part of like the you're like a stealable brand, you know?
I know. So this feature is just going to go.
You're like
it's just going to
you're like
multiply.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton.
No, Vuitton, but with a B.
Vuitton?
With a B. Yeah,
Louis Vuitton. Who's Louis Vuitton?
Well, it's the rip-off version of Louis Vuitton with the V.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like all the like and
yeah.
you know, like all those consumer
Fuke,
like
a Fuke multimeter.
Exactly.
Fuke.
The EEV flog.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man. Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, they just steal this and Indiegogo will not take it down. I've put in takedown requests and they just will not do a damn thing about it. You know.
Well, the thing is money.
Oh man, it's just this they've raised $313,000. You know.
Yeah.
Of their $10,000 goal. You know.
You should instead go to Indiegogo and be like, can I just have the list of people that are backing this thing so I could talk to them and be like, what is motivating you to back this thing?
I had
what
that.
What do you think's really going to happen here?
I've had that. I've had Kickstarter and Indiegogo projects contact me because I'm a fellow Indiegogo, this Kickstarter person, right? So they get my contact from Kickstarter or whatever as a fellow, the project starter, right?
You can say it, Dave. You're an innovator. You're an innovator.
Whatever. and they offer to sell you their list, right?
Yeah,
of all their customers.
Yeah.
And I got this, and I tweeted this as well from a local engineering show here. It's like heavy engineering or something, like heavy mechanical engineering stuff or something like that. I forget the name of the. Anyway, it's a local thing here in Australia, and they have their local
it's like
trade
a conference
show.
You're talking about?
Yeah, it's like a trade show, conferencey trade show kind of thing, And they sent me an email offering me to sell me their list, their personal details of all the people who turned up to the last trade show. Mm-hmm. And it's like. Screw you.
Yeah, these things happen. I don't know.
It just pisses me off, know. Anyway.
Yep.
And I've had people approach me, will you sell your list? Sell me your list,
Right. Are you a shady marketer, right?
Yeah, it's like piss off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
anyway.
Since we mentioned at the top, I should probably finally get to that thing I was going to talk about. No.
No.
I'm making a badge for DEF CON. I'm not sure
why.
One
of the 10 million badges.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, you were wrong, dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
you're the one who told me that, everyone makes a buttload of money on these badges.
I didn't say everyone makes a buttload of money. I said that a lot of people buy badges. You didn't know that they were.
A lot of people buy badges, right?
I didn't say people made a buttload of money. I said that there was a lot of people buying badges, which is surprising.
People just, shut up and take my money. Kind of thing.
That is actually very and that's very much a thing. Right. Specifically at DEF CON.
So if you can't make money on it, so somebody can't make money on a badge, then it's their own fault, is what we're saying.
I don't know. I just know. So the history is, and so I was talking, actually Zach from Kickstarter was here in town, and I was talking to him about it, and he's like, well, what the hell's the deal here? Like, what is going on? So the deal is, because, you see a lot of this stuff online, people talking about badges, and if you listen to one of our friend podcasts, Macrofab, then the and not XOR folks are on there a lot, and so there's people talking about badges and all this stuff. So the whole background of it is DEF CON made badges. So Joe Grand, past guest of the show, Joe Grand, made badges for one of the earlier DEF CONs, I think 15 or 16.
But it wasn't the official one, right?
It was the official one. That's the thing.
Oh, it was the official.
Yeah.
See, here is where I didn't. The thing
Got
that
it.
I didn't
Right.
know about this world existed. I thought, for shows like DEF CON, there was the official badge, and that's it. But
Right.
apparently, no. There's like stalls for my fellow Australians. It's like the Easter show bag haul.
Oh, right. We were talking about that.
Where you go in and get your, there's hundreds of different, if you go to the show, a big thing is to go to the show bag haul and you buy 10 different show bags.
Right. Yep. And exactly.
It's like-
So you were talking about that one. I
Right.
was thinking about the Olympic Village, right? A lot of people do like pin trading or pin buying.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's like a huge thing in the
really?
Olympics. There's like they have
Right.
you can get pins made online too, but like these are specific for the event or for a
And
certain
you can
sport.
only pick it up if you go there, right? Is that the
No. There's like a secondary market too. Like people
secondary,
it's like a,
buy them on eBay, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like a trading thing. People will buy and sell these things online. It's not like they're worth anything. It's just that it's just a hobby that people have,
Yep.
So yeah. And that's kind of a thing at DEF CON too. I'm not sure why, but there's a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's like dozens and dozens of these badges. Is it?
Yeah,
is it
yeah,
like a big set of tables, and you just set up a table and flog your badge? Is that the?
Some people do that. Last year, sometimes people do official like spots. They'll camp out somewhere. Sometimes, so like a lot of the things.
Sometimes it's a trench coat thing. They tweet, "Psst, buddy, I'm in the alleyway."
Yeah. So it's like you'll have secret sales places and stuff like that, and people come running, and it's very interesting. But also like it's used for the right things though too. Like some groups will use it as fundraising for for an event that they're doing, or some of the areas. So like so last week we had the Machina guys on from that do like car hacking, right? There's a car hacking village, and so that village actually raises money for events and stuff by selling a badge, a significant amount of badges actually. So so it's a really weird subculture kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
I had no idea it existed. I thought there was one official badge and that's it.
Right, and so you were talking about it too because so Mike Harrison had done the SuperCon badge last year, right?
Was that the official badge?
That was the official badge. So like for smaller conferences, usually it is that. It's just
one
the one thing,
badge.
right? And you'll see that for the Toy Makers crowd, Addy and Whisker, they did the one for, I don't remember what it was called. I'll post a link to it. But they did a really cool badge for a conference as well. CryptoCon, something like that.
CypherCon.
But that's the thing. Like, there's always like badges, and some people ignore them. Like, so like the first, I don't know. Like I've been to a bunch of conferences with electronics badges. I'm usually just like, what do I do with this thing? I don't know. Like even Mike's badge. Like I was just like, it's so involved. It was so like it had so much stuff on there. Like you could do the blinky whatever stuff, but like I couldn't. Like the amount of time that I had to go and like try and write firmware.
Who of us doesn't have 10 different bloody demo and boards and whatnot, right?
Exactly,
It's just,
boards and stuff,
you have the intention to use it, and then you never end up using it.
Right, but you do see, like, so you'll see, like, I'll see on Twitter sometimes that someone will actually take it and use it later on because that might have been their introduction to electronics. Right. And that's friggin' awesome, right? And that's what actually is exciting about it, is that there's people, just that don't have much exposure to it, but that gets them into it. So, yeah.
Right. Hey, is this, like, legal in terms of the rules of the conference? Like, can you just like show up with your backpack full of boards and then just sell them from the corner of the auditorium or something? Like, can you do that, or do you have to pay for an official store? Because if I went to the local Australian trade show, right, yearly trade show, and I started selling stuff out of my backpack just on the trade show floor. They're pretty stickler for rules around there. I'm sure I'd be escorted off the premises.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah,
but
which would be fun. That'd make a great video. Dave evicted from electronics.
You're right. I'm just saying that, like, this is DEF CON, so it's like a security kind of weirdo hacker type. So I don't think that really matters that much.
Right.
I don't actually know that piece, and I'm not far enough along for it to even matter. So,
got it.
But what I do know is I've been staying up till 3 a.m. for the past 3 weeks doing designs because, like, it's how it is. Like, you get into designs and it's just like, yeah, you're like deep into it, And
yep.
So that's what you see my tweets about ESP chipsets and arguments about that stuff. Yeah, that's where all that stuff's coming from. So,
Right.
But yeah, that's what I was getting back to with the espressive stuff too. Is that like, so I've always had trouble with conference badges and like having like super embedded, like they're usually written in C for like low power to power saving type stuff. But I don't know.
Why is C inherently low power?
I usually just having more low level control is usually.
Meh.
No, you don't think so?
No.
I think if you're running like
not buying it.
If you're running like a full Linux computer on something hanging around your chest, it's like that's going to be a little bit higher power than if you're.
No kidding. Well, that's a different ball game, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, there's more to it than just writing it in C. I mean, there's. Yeah. If you're not turning on the the capabilities of the chipset, you can do that in almost any language, surely.
That's a good point.
Sorry, I'm calling you out on that.
No, I mean, I was just I think you're right. I've just I'm thinking of another interaction I had recently too, where someone else said that too, because I said that about like, oh well, like it's got like a real time operating system. He's like, well, what about that makes it low power? And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
you're right.
Yeah,
no,
that's a good point. Yeah, I guess if it's going into sleep mode, it's going into sleep mode. I guess I think about that stuff that like people lean on those as like crutches, right? So like,
right. So
if you're running in Linux, if you're running a full Linux distribution, usually you're just like, what battery?
Yep.
So
exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess what I think about is like if you are writing it in C, then you're probably a little bit closer to the hardware, and so you're probably doing that in the first place because you want to get down into the low level stuff and switch things off. But maybe that's not true. That's
no, I don't think it is.
I'll pay that. I think that isn't that the phrase.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah. So
it's all about winning.
Yeah, Dave, you got me, buddy.
Yeah.
That chip printer is never going to happen either.
No, it's not going to happen either. Oh boy.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know how much all that stuff matters, but yeah, I don't know how much I'll be talking about it here, but I am planning. So the things that are relevant, I guess, to us is that I am feeling relatively confident about CircuitPython these days, and MicroPython,
Right.
I think, a year ago I'd have been like, well, I got to like write it and see, I don't want to do that. I didn't really feel like I guess I wouldn't feel comfortable. I'd have to use a chipset that's, on the Arduino platform or something, but I'm feeling pretty confident with not like super confident, but like more confident, with the MicroPython stuff. So yeah, bring it on. I'll actually write some code. Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
Can I get into something else that's not going to happen? And I know you won't want to talk about it, but I'm just sick of seeing them.
Sure.
It's not going to happen. All this wireless charging bullshit.
Oh, yeah, another one of those.
There's so many variations of products for wireless. We talked about U-Beam before, and there's Energous, and there's this new one that I'm probably going to have to do a debunking on, which uses infrared.
Oh, jeez.
Like pumping out 1,000 watts of infrared or something to charge your phone, and it's like, and everyone thinks they've cracked it.
Isn't that called an oven?
Right? Everyone thinks they've cracked it.
1,000 watts of infrared. How does that even work? Is it literally not an oven? I mean, like,
no. Well, they use high power infrared LEDs, and they and like steerable apparently, because you can't just piss away the power by spreading a 180-degree beam.
I did not know about that.
Anyway,
what's it called?
I even forget the name and the link. I'm going to have to hang on. I'll just Google it now.
Okay.
It's just like, and there's just WeCharge, we-charge.com, and it's just it's just the wankiest photoshopped marketing bullshit you've ever seen. And they apparently have a demo kit available.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about maybe seeing if I can get a demo kit but only available to potential partners, and stuff like that to demonstrate their technology. Yeah,
why do you even let this stuff get to you, man? Like, it's not going to happen. Is
yeah,
it like
I know,
people?
but I'm just sick of seeing it.
People
well,
like pinging you on Twitter here? Is that the problem?
Yeah, and it pisses me off. I just hate like bullshit like this, and that's why I do debunking videos. Why I'm one of the few people who do debunking videos.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I guess
because
so.
it's just like I'm just sick of all this bullshit in the market. Aren't you?
That's right.
I mean, doesn't that offend you?
Pull out the old XKCD. Somebody's wrong in the internet.
Right. Yeah.
I can't come to bed. Somebody's wrong in the internet.
Yeah, but don't you think this is a blight on the industry that actually has consequences? This takes investment money away from people who have really otherwise good ideas, right?
Nope, I don't think so.
No?
I think this takes
you think
investment
there's so
money
much
away
money
from,
to go around?
from
You
VCs.
think they should just give it to anyone who's got any bullshit marketing that looks good?
No. I think anyone who gives money to something that flagrant,
right,
deserves to lose their money.
So even if it's like pension fund money,
that they should be prosecuted for investing pension fund money into something that risky.
Right.
If that's part of your risk profile, it's like, oh, okay. Well, good luck with that. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, you could put something into a 0% chance thing like that, or you could put it into something that's a 20% chance, like a normal startup. If that's being generous.
Yeah, that's generous. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but both are risky, but one's just guaranteed risky.
One's just stupid. Yeah.
So, if it's a pension, then that's a different argument.
No,
it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
Right. Okay, fine.
I just usually say the same thing I said for a lot of them. I would love to be proven wrong.
So
please
okay,
prove me
would
wrong.
you rather that nobody talks up about this, nobody debunks these things? Do you think I'm wasting my time doing debunkings of this sort of stuff?
I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I don't watch your debunking videos, Dave.
Right. Okay.
I watch a lot of your videos. Like I don't watch your debunking videos.
Can you at least appreciate that some people might, and then learn?
Oh, no doubt.
And then people will learn the mental tool sets to identify bullshit like this.
I think that
and,
the higher
to
level
actually prevent them being scammed on Kickstarter or something.
I mean, maybe, but I think the people that really need it aren't watching those things anyways. You know what I mean? Like it's like a self-selecting audience.
But it's like then people the people who
anything...
do watch it can then educate their friends, kind of thing.
I guess so.
And then
I'm not
point
saying
to
anything
it on
about
Facebook,
the
right? When their Facebook friends post the latest bullshit Kickstarter idea, right? Then somebody can go, "Hey, no, I've seen this EEV blog debunking video. Look, it's bullshit." Right? It's like, and then it spreads, right?
I guess that's very
Can
possible.
you see value in that?
I don't see any personal value, but that's what I was going to say too. Is that like some people find entertainment value, some people just like, following along. So yeah, that's great. I'm just that was my personal opinion. I make no judgments on you doing debunking videos.
Just surprised. I'm surprised that you don't see value in it. Really.
I mean, if there was something very flagrant, then yeah.
Well, they're all flagrant. They're all obviously bullshit.
Nah, but like some are different than others. You know what I mean? Like,
right, like the Rayton Solar one, maybe with Bill Nye.
I don't actually know that one.
You don't know? I'm sure we talked about it on here.
I'm sure we did. Yeah, but I'll have to link it in or yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
No, all right, fine. I'm still going to do my debunking.
I know you are. That's fine. I'm still not going to watch them. Like that's
okay.
I was just being honest.
Right.
We've known each other a long time, Dave. Pushing 8 years.
Yep.
If you can't say that to a friend of 8 years, who can you say it to?
I'm not offended at all. I'm just surprised.
Just like I wasn't offended by you questioning my thing about C,
the
right?
chip,
yeah.
The what? The C, right?
Yeah,
yeah
right. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
No,
well, we were going to talk more about low power if you don't mind getting back to that.
I like low power. It's
I know that's what I was. So I was going to get back to.
I am not a high power guy.
You were not
People
a high power guy. Right.
Why don't you work on? I'm not an RF guy, and B, I'm not a high power guy.
Right.
Anything over 12 volts DC scares the shit out of me.
That's right. Yep.
It's just not me.
Yep. Yeah, some of the I was looking at some of that automotive stuff last week when the guys were on, and and I was like, oh, 24 volts, huh?
Oh, 20 that's getting up there. 48 volt telephone line.
Yeah,
geez, like power over Ethernet.
Zappy, right? And then there's the old linesmen who are like, licking their fingers and being like, oh, it just tickles.
Yeah.
It's 120.
Yeah, it just tickles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
that sort of shit keeps me up at night. It really does.
What does?
Yep.
120?
Just thinking about mains power, touching mains power, it keeps me up at night.
Got it. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and some people just do it like it's nothing.
Yeah, you normalized everything, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm just a wuss.
So low power stuff. So if you were going to go, and that's what we were going to talk about too. So I was actually approached a couple days ago about someone who was saying like they want something low power, they want something that's going to last for many, many days. What they were asking for probably
please quantify. Let's be engineering
sure.
on the amp hour and actually quantify not many days.
Well,
I'm trying to do this with David at the moment. He says, it's not going to take long, or it's not going to take much current, right? And I go, quantify.
Right.
It's
right.
like,
Well, because this was so this would be like a product meeting, right? This would be like a product that someone was like asking for, right?
Okay,
so they're going to say something like
brainstorming.
I want to. So like the user story would be like the user story would be
sorry,
like
who's sorry, I'm just getting my head here. Who's doing what here? Who's doing?
Okay, I'll be the product marketer and you be the design engineer, right?
Right. Okay.
So I talk to the. I talk to the customer, damn it. I'm a people person. Smokowski.
Sorry, I didn't get that reference.
Really? Oh, that was supposed to be the guy who gets fired in Office Space, no?
Oh, who? What's the name?
Tom Smokowski, the guy who gets fired. What is it you say?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just didn't remember his name.
Yeah.
What does it say you do here? See, if you said that, I would have got the reference instantly.
So Tom Smokowski was a product marketer. If you don't know, that's what his job was. He takes the requirements from the customer and he gives them to the engineer. Right. We're going to replay some of Office Space here.
The Office Space clip.
And so then the Bobs were asking him.
The bulbs.
Why are you necessary, right? Why couldn't you just have the customer talk to the engineer? And he says, well, because they're not people persons, right? So, Dave, you're not a people person. I'm a people person. Right. Anyways, sorry. Yeah, a little slide back there.
Now I can't help
people
visualizing
are really
Office
Space.
They
really don't have stuff to talk about this week, do they?
Yeah. And if you have not seen Office Space, my God, do yourself a favor.
You're about 25, 30 years behind, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was definitely...
It's not that old.
90s?
It's not that old.
Late 90s.
Surely.
20 years old. Yeah.
Really?
Surely.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, okay, so I'm going to be the product marketer here. 99, it came out. So I was talking to someone, and he said to me, I want to have a device that I can press a button, and it talks over Bluetooth to my phone, and that's it. That's really simple, right?
And I would say that product already exists.
I know, but that's not always what you do when you're talking to a customer, Dave.
Who wants to give you money to actually develop something.
The thing is, money.
Stupid me. I'll never make it. Yeah, I'll never be a businessman.
Right, or you're going to add something different or whatever, right? So like the idea was like it has to last for like 2 weeks. It's got a button.
2 weeks? I'd say that's bullshit. I can make it last 2 years.
Boy, you really are sounding like an engineer here.
2 weeks for a Bluetooth connected thing?
I know.
Bullshit.
But he said 2 weeks.
Okay, well, let's get into nitty-gritty details. How long does it? How small does it have to be? Because that determines the battery solution, which then determines the thing.
Great thing.
But even with a tiny CR2032 battery, you're still going to get a year's life if you use Bluetooth BLE. But then, if you use Bluetooth BLE, you've got connection issues. So Bluetooth is much better in that regard.
Right. So at that point, you'd have to know about like how often is he going to be pushing the button?
How often are you going to be pushing? But how often does it have to ping?
How fast does it need to respond? Right?
Does it need to automatically reconnect to your phone? Things like that.
Right. Exactly. Does it need to detect that it's in a pocket and not to hit the button when it's in your pocket? That kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm going to make up stuff here because I actually don't know any of these things. Let's say he's going to push the button maximum 10 times per day.
Right.
And it has to fit on a keychain.
Yep. Okay, so if it fits on a keychain, we're talking a CR2032 solution. Therefore, we're forced into BLE just based on the battery solution.
Okay.
Unless you do want to charge it every 2 weeks, and then, well, that's a different story.
Well, I think that's another thing, though, too, right? It's like, do you want to have a charge circuit on it, right? Do you put on a cheapo USB charger? Does it need to be waterproof? That's another question.
Yep, exactly.
Because if you're charging. Well, unless you do wireless IR charging, Dave. You could pass
right.
1,000 watts with an IR.
You can put
LED.
in a tiny Qi charger or something.
Yeah,
and you can sit it on your bedside stand.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is getting more common.
Yep.
Okay. So, but the thing that I wanted to get to is like, what are some of the considerations? So, let's change this all around then. So, let's say it does have to last for 5 years, right? Because then it actually is kind of problematic, right? So it's got to last for 5 years. It needs to be waterproof. That's why it's 5 years, because it's just a throwaway thing. So you said it's going to be BLE, right?
It'd have to be BLE for that length of time, yes.
Got it.
Or some other Zigbee, some other solution like Zigbee or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
I will mention there's my friend Jackson was on Embedded FM talking about BLE with Alicia and Chris. So I will refer people to that as well, because, well, you don't want us talking about
right.
the BLE stuff. But this
so
is
up front now, I can tell you that you will get 5 years battery life if you use something bigger than a CR2032. So you use a CR 3040 or something, like a thicker version of that coin cell, which has like 4 times the capacity. Then you should be able to get your 5 years, no problem.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to tell you that your product is doable. Tell the customer your product is doable.
Okay. So I was wondering though about the code side of things. So we were talking about like how to actually. Yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of this does come down to the actual design of a thing, right?
Yep.
It's more systemic than it is just about like optimizing the code, right? But we were talking about like some of the before the show. We were talking about some of the considerations of like what are some of the checklists that you'll go through? Is it more like, do you need to keep time and with like an onboard RTC, real-time clock? Like what are the considerations there? Like specifically, Dave, tell me about a time that you had to design a low power product and some of the things you had to do when you were going through and actually designing it.
Well, the real-time clock is not going to add much because they run on the sniff of an oily rag. So literally, like you can literally take the RTC out of the equation.
Got it.
Right, in terms of power consumption, because it's going to be insignificant.
Just sipping Coulombs.
It's It's like you're counting Coulombs.
Yeah.
Right. So it's you start with your battery. Right. What's your battery solution? Right. You got to start with that, because without starting there, you're just flapping in the breeze. Right, so you go, okay, I can.
So you're just
it
saying
has
from
to be
capacity,
this big,
or you're saying technology as well?
From the capacity.
Got it.
You don't necessarily care about the technology, but if it's a one-time use, throwaway thing with a 5-year shelf life, you're not going to be using alkaline, right? Because the alkalines will freaking leak by the time you do that. So you use a lithium coin cell solution that has a 10-year shelf life. Right?
I mean, you can do other like LiPo type stuff these days, right? Like those little
no,
packs?
you wouldn't. No, you'd be using a lithium primary solution.
Oh, interesting.
A lithing primary battery.
Because it's a throwaway, you're saying, because of cost and stuff like that.
Just based on the if you're looking for something that gets a year or more's battery life, just as a rough benchmark, a year or more's battery life, you're looking at a disposable primary battery solution. There's just no point having a charging solution in there. No point having a lithium ion. A rechargeable solution, because they've got higher self discharge. So they've got much higher self discharge, right?
It's self discharge. You mean like internal resistance of the battery and stuff like that?
Yes, the internal leakage of the battery, right?
Leakage. Okay.
So you're not going to use your. You might be able to squeeze out a year, right? For example, the Senyo any loops, for example, right? You can charge them up and they'll still have 70% of their capacity after a year or something, right? So same thing with the lithium ion batteries, right? They will, there is a length of time that they can retain their charge, but if you're talking, a year plus 2 years, then you're going to be going to a primary non-rechargeable battery solution. It's just the way it is.
Got it.
Because they've got lower self-discharge, you'll get higher capacity in a smaller volume with a lower self-discharge. That's what the
primary means? I'd actually never heard that
term.
Primary,
there's primary and secondary, a primary battery is a non-rechargeable battery. That's the industry term.
Secondary is rechargeable? Is that the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they call them rechargeables, basically.
Okay.
But a primary, if you hear the term primary cell, primary battery, it's non-rechargeable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So your alkaline batteries you buy in the supermarket, your AA's, your AAA's, and your lithium coin cells.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. So you'd be looking at that. So where was I?
battery.
Yes. So you're talking 2 years, right? Yeah. So you absolutely start with your the physical solution of your product, right? How big is it? What volumetric envelope do you have? What's the size and form factor? You said keychain, right? So of course the classic keychain, you're going to be shooting for a coin cell battery.
Yeah.
Right. That's just, or you can actually get custom square. Prismatic ones, they're called, primary lithium batteries. You can get those. They're specialized.
Right. But then that also
batteries.
affects your cost, so that's another thing you have to start looking at.
That can affect your cost. Yeah,
Right.
It's probably just easier to just base it on a coin cell. I certainly would. Because there's just, they're so readily available, they're so low cost.
Right, and
so
if you're prototyping too, you'd probably want to have, if you could get like an off-the-shelf case as well to start with, that'll save you money over.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it'll look nicer than a 3D printed solution.
Yep.
Although
and there's
eventually
lots
you
of
might
battery
want to.
holder solutions, and it depends whether or not you want to make that user replaceable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like in 2 years' time, does your product have screws on the back that you can access, and the user can, like a watch, right? My watch gets 3 years battery life or whatever, but I can change the battery in it, right?
Right,
it's
that's good for troubleshooting.
And it's not a disposable product, right? So I can still change it.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've determined that, then you know your typical capacity, right? So you'll get your capacity discharge curves based on the nominal average current, right? If you've got something like BLE, well, then you could get like spikes of current when it transmits and stuff like that. But that's what your filter caps are for, right? Your filter caps can average out a lot of those
store it right
spikes.
there, and
yeah, exactly. And it takes the gulp. Because your typical CR2032 coin cell's got a 20 ohm series resistance, right?
I didn't know that.
So, you can't draw much current from them. Pulse current.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Right. But you could store, you could have like a cap there and store it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Well, that's what you do. So all your pulse current comes from your local bypass, bypassing. Mm-hmm. So you've got that. So then you can determine, you work out you measure, based on your prototype or whatever, you measure your average current that you're going to take over that period of time. And then you can get the discharge curve for the battery is going to change based on the average discharge current. So the capacity of the battery is not just one figure. The capacity of the battery is different depending on your average discharge current. Right,
and really better than average would be like area on the curve, under the curve type thing, right?
Yeah,
so it'd be like
it's an area
total capacity is like if you tracked the spike and that how much area is underneath that part, and then the averaging over time, it's how much under that flat line kind of stuff.
That's correct. I've done a video on that, and then you've got to know your battery cutoff, your product battery cutoff voltage.
Oh, like when it just kind of craps out.
When it craps out, what can your product work down to? Because you may be eating into the capacity of your battery. And it's not always possible to work down to the minimum where the battery voltage drops off, right? So you might be pissing away some of the capacity in your coin cell, so you have to take that into account. So anyway, most good data sheets for these coin cells will give you different capacity curves for different currents. So and then it's just simple maths to work out how long on average your product's going to last based on that average current and your dropout voltage. And then if you're in the ballpark for your product design or whether or not you need a bigger battery.
I mean, this is before even, I guess at that point though, you could also go and you could start to try and optimize for average resting current, right? So that would be like sleep modes and stuff like that, right?
You can also, that's the other thing. And before I said that, based on your prototype measurements, well, you may not have any measurements yet. You may be an entirely requirements-driven product design, right? So you're going, okay, it needs to be this big, and I need to get 2 years battery life. Right, and then you can. This is the biggest battery I can fit in there.
This is napkin stage, yeah.
It's working. It's top level.
Lab book stage.
It's top down. It's product. It's basic product viability, right? If you go, well, the product has to be this big. It can't be any bigger, and it has to last for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And you work out
if
that
you can't fit the battery in there, right? Yeah,
exactly. This is the absolute biggest battery I can do, and then you work out. Then you do the reverse calculations, work out what the maximum current draw is, and then you go out searching for solutions to see if you can meet that current draw. And if there's nothing on the market, you go, well, shit, this is not a viable product. Or maybe you're close, maybe you're, like 10 microamps over or something like that. Then you go, well, okay, well, let's try a real prototype and see what we get, see what we actually measure. Can we run it at 3 volts instead of 3.3 volts? For example, or our micro, can we operate it at 0.1 volts lower? Because then we'll get an extra 5% capacity out of our battery or something like that. That's when you start massaging the design to try and fit your current requirement.
Yeah, I guess you could do power budget type stuff then too, right?
Yeah, it's all basic power envelope design. Yeah, nothing.
So
innovative here.
So I didn't expect that. Come on, man.
What? You didn't expect that level of my response, or you didn't expect?
No, I didn't expect anything innovative.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
It's not like I'm asking, like, Dave.
Yeah, no.
How would you implement cold fusion?
Yeah. Well, no. If you want innovative, then you go, well, look, there's no off-the-shelf solution that does this. I'm going to have to roll my own. Right. That's that's when you start getting really serious engineering.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. But I was thinking more along the lines of I guess you're talking
wait, hang on, before I lose my train of thought here, which would be a classic case for someone like a Casio calculator, for example, right? That's when they go, look, there's no solution available that meets our power budget. We're designing our own custom ASICs to do this.
Oh,
right?
Got it. Right, and then that feeds the ASIC requirements, stuff like that.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that same kind of thing would make sense here, right?
Right.
I guess the thing I was thinking of is you're talking about these high level design things and it makes a lot of sense. I was thinking more like the low level optimization stuff, but I guess that's not even necessary until you get to a further point.
I've got a great example here.
Okay.
Right? I've got a great example. I don't necessarily like to use this, but hey, I'll even though I've debunked them, I'll tip my hat to them. Right? Batterizer, right? The batterizer, right? They came up with this ultimately stupid and fruitless idea of having a DC to DC converter inside like a sleeve that fits over the top of the battery, right? Anyway, it's a completely lame ass idea and it's never going to be practical, but it's an interesting exercise, right? They went through, looked at all the off-the-shelf DC to DC converter chips off the market and found, hey, we cannot find one that starts up at 0.6 volts, right, which is like the absolute minimum dropout voltage of the cell they were trying to do, and boosted it up to 1.5, right? They went talked to every manufacturer on the planet, and they went, nobody has a chip for this, right? We have to do our own. So they actually went and did their own ASIC. And it turns out it's a fruitless product, but hey, that's what they had to do because there was no other solution available. So they actually partnered up with, I can't remember who, we think we know who, because he used to work at TI or something, one of the DC to DC converter manufacturers, the CEO of Batterizer. Anyway, he had contacts, right? And they spun their own ASIC, right? They spun their own DC to DC converter chip because there was nothing else on the market that met those requirements. Some things came close, but close wasn't good enough. Right?
Right, because it's about how much you're going to sell against it, right?
Yeah, no. So to make that product, the only way you could possibly make that product is by developing your own, actually rolling your own solution. Otherwise, it's just not possible. So that's what they did. They went and did their own ASIC. Hats off to them, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, right?
That's not just a classic example.
Yeah, that's not a common thing, though. That's what.
No, it's not common. But sometimes
more fruitful would have been to go back. And I guess you were saying that in that case, the form factor's fixed. The low cost nature of batteries. Basically, they thought their thesis was that there was efficiencies to be gained from these already low cost things.
Their fundamental idea was just fundamentally their idea was fundamentally flawed, but that's beside the.
But the technology wasn't necessarily
but the technology wasn't available to do it, and the only way to make a viable product, a viable company out of it, was to roll their own chip, and that's it. And you can buy the chip. They now actually have a data sheet. I'm not sure. Well, I think if you had enough volume, they'd sell it to you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right. So yeah. And it's actually a neat little chip. It has its own little niche market, right? It does this thing that no other chip on the market does. Right? There's not much core for it, but if you need that,
that's the difference too between a commercial a commercial market versus like a B2B type of like, selling to other people who might be using it. That could make sense.
Well, that's
right.
Well, what's that other one that I debunked from the University of, was it Cambridge or some UK university? I can't remember which, right? They developed this ultra low power wake up chip that, ran on like 10 femtoamps or something, something ridiculous. And I actually debunked that because they had these huge marketing claims for it and it was all bullshit. And I called them out on it. So we can link in that video down below. But once again, they developed their own custom ASIC, and you can buy it. You can buy this little energy, this super zero power energy chip. I can't remember what the hell. I can't remember my own video.
I guess debunking is useful, Dave.
It is useful. It stops bullshit marketing. Eh?
Right? I guess it's useful in that you learned about chips like this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like it's an interesting chip. Here it is. I'll send you the link. And it's like it's a zero, but they claimed zero power standby.
Right. It's like an energy harvesting type of chip, right?
It's kind of a energy harvesting signals, and then drives an open drain output, and it,
right,
whatnot. But and it's a cool little niche chip. It's just that it was marketed too far. Mm-hmm. But another example of where there was nothing else on the market like it, and you had to develop your own. So anyway, that's enough of the custom ASIC thing.
Okay.
Anyway, our button.
Yes,
pushing the button.
The button product. Okay. So if the battery's sized properly, then you'd have to go and, well, I guess at that point though, then it's also about the step you skip there would be having like a chipset and that power budget would be driven by the needs of the project and stuff like that, or it could be
or as I said, it can go either way. You can drive it from I need to use this chipset, so therefore I need this size battery, or you can go no, I need this size battery, therefore I have to find a chipset that does what I want.
Yeah, and that's a common thing. Like when you ask people like, why did you use that chip?
Yeah.
The most common answer I've ever heard is because I used it last time.
Because I used it last time. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
which
when
is
you
okay for most general design, right?
Right. But then
when you start going to the low power space, right, you enter a different world.
Well, I think like you're saying though too, is that if you then ask them, well, why did you end up changing to this new part for this new design? It would probably be very much along the lines of what you're talking about, right? Of
cost or power consumption or functionality.
I couldn't do what I needed to.
Couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, of course.
Yep.
And that's a lot of people don't appreciate that, because a lot of people will just use their their Atmel processor for every project they've ever done, and that's fine, right? But until you hit a unique requirement project, you go, oh shit,
right?
That's not the best thing since sliced
bread.
Right.
It's an efficiency thing. Well, and I always felt bad for I wasn't designing I wasn't doing the firmware stuff, so I didn't really give a crap about which part was used, but these vendors would come in and talk to me about like this new part and isn't this great, and it's like, but the switching cost is just so high, and not even for me, like even if I made that decision, right, I'm gonna get a bunch of crap from my firmware person.
Which company are you talking about here, Keithley? Or
this was at ABB,
right, ABB, yep.
I mean, it was a bunch of companies though too. Like anytime you come in and it's like I think even the vendors know, like if you're like if you're like a a Freescale house, you're an Atmel now microchip house, or if you're if you're in the PIC family, selling people on these new chipsets, it's like you're pushing them into new tool change, you're pushing them into new register sets and new ways of doing things. Sometimes you're pushing them into new endianness, like all of these things that are like very disruptive. not the good kind of disruptive, the bad kind of disruptive.
But if there's a advantage, like or a need that you have to, well, that's the pain you got to go through.
Right. Exactly. Yep. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
So did we just start a startup, Dave?
But what, for developing custom ASICs for low power solutions?
Singlebuttondevice.com? Yeah. No.
It reminds me of the "Don't push this button." What's that video? It's been done by several people. It's faint. Like they have these people in a room. They tell them, "Don't push the button."
Oh, there was a movie about that, right?
Oh, well, yeah. It's like I can't remember.
There was also a Reddit thing about it where it was the button.
Right.
It was like nobody was supposed to push it, but everyone ended up doing it. Right. It's like a human game theory.
Yeah, that's
thing.
the human psychology thing. Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I don't know if
God,
we've.
I think I'm sick of staring at this WeCharge
Just turn it off, man.
animated thing. I'm just gonna have to go debunk this shit.
Yeah. Another one bites the dust.
Oh boy. Yep.
Yeah.
So much debunking, so little time.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for us, huh?
Hey, what can I do with my 13,000 subscribers I've got on my
On your dumpster channel?
Dumpster Hack channel.
You should. You know what you should do? You should set up a live feed. And just stream it live.
Stream the dumpster live.
Just the dumpster, right.
And get evicted from my building and charged.
I mean, you don't have to have it on for like the whole time. I'm just saying, like, do it for like 2 hours. Have that as the only video, right? Walk into frame once, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Or I can mount it so that there's absolutely no way I can catch people's faces or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. You don't want to hurt people's privacy, but just the dumpster doesn't have feelings, so you could just film the dumpster.
24-hour dumpster channel coming to you live from the.
Oh man.
Oh boy, I so would do that. I totally would do that if I had permission to do it.
I don't understand permission in this case. But.
Yeah. Well, this is a private corporate building. Although I am on the strata committee, so
there you go.
Technically I could put in a vote. Please let Dave. I don't have a vested interest. I'll refrain from voting. Please let Dave install a camera for.
I think this is like selling stuff at trade shows, Dave. I mean, it's only if you get caught. That's only a problem if you get caught.
Right?
Yeah.
Better to seek forgiveness than it is to seek permission.
I guess so, unless you're going to get arrested or fined.
Yeah, which I probably would.
Right.
If, seriously, I've set up a public camera in a private dumpster room. Where,
it's not public. There's only 13,000 subscribers.
Only 13,000 subs.
Yeah. Just put a note next to it.
Right. Oh boy. Well, anyway, if people have got ideas, what I can do with my dumpster hack channel. Yep.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for the low power lesson here. That was
problem.
good. That was good.
Anytime. I don't do enough of this shit.
Yeah, well, we can. If people like that, I guess we could try and do more of that. But I don't know what. It's tough when it's audio. I think.
I see. I like answering live questions like that because I didn't know what you were going to ask.
Got it.
So I think I should have like a weekly live show.
I don't think you're.
Ask Dave.
Dave, as someone who's known you for 8 years, I don't think you're going to do it. But
no, I'm not.
That's not a bad idea. We could do another call-in show if people are interested in that. We haven't done that in a long time.
Right.
We said we weren't going to do that. That's been a couple of years now, surprisingly.
Yep.
So, let us know if you want to do a call-in show. Leave a comment. We have comments.
Yeah, the good thing about a call-in show is that you could get someone come on and. Yeah, it's live. Whereas if you do a live questions, like you can just ignore the question that comes up on the chat.
I see.
You can just kind of
Right, but watching you read chat stuff again, not my jam.
Not your cup of tea.
No, a little more interactive is good.
There's a bunch of aficionados out there.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure that there is for everything you do.
Yeah. Yep. No, but if I did that, I would have to go look. Okay, this is not a normal live show where I just shoot the chat. It's like questions only. It's like you come to me with technical questions and I'll try and, shoot off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Responses. Because like other live shows I've done are just, it's just hanging out and just, talking about just, anything.
Yep.
Really. It's not really rigidly structured. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
We'll hook it up, I guess.
All right.
Cool, man. You're not going to be here next week, but I will be, and I will have a special interview, so I'm excited about it.
Special? Are you going to tell me who?
Nope. Well, I'll tell you, but not here.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gee, thanks.
Yeah.
So
I mean, not on the show. I'll tell you, but not everybody else. So.
All right.
All right, man. Talk to you in a couple weeks.
Catch you next time.